All right, guys, the day has come. I've been building up since Hammerfest for this GT. I have pretty much, I don't say painted a whole Soulblight's army, but I painted a huge chunk of models. I did 40 Graveguard, 5 Blood Knights, a Mega Gargant, a converted Vengorian Lord, and Belladama. 10 wolves, and I rebased some other stuff in there, some older wolves and stuff. So did a pretty good chunk of painting. I've taken it right up to the wire. Usually I'm done with painting way before I was this time. Think it all came out good. I've got a beautiful display board I'll be showing off in here in a minute. The lists will be in the description. In the blog post, I'll have my list, my opponent lists, top list from the tournament, stuff like that. So if you follow the channel, you know sort of what I'm bringing. I'm running this Mega Garden with a Vengorian Lord. It's just a real hodgepodge of pretty much everything I like out of the book, and we're going to see how it goes. I will have the list and sort of that overview coming up. I'll have some timestamps in the description so you can skip around to see what you want to see. And usually when we talk about when I go to these GTs, I set personal goals for myself. And of course, obviously we all want to win 5 games and, max every point. I mean, I sort of take a pragmatic view. I know my skill level. I know my list ability. So I'm shooting for 3 wins. That is what I'm doing. If I get 2, I get 2. If I get 4, I get 4, but I'm shooting for 3 wins, and I'm shooting for, I've went back and forth on this. I'm going to try to get the over under on how many wolves I get from Lichen Curse is going to be set at 7. So bet the over under. Tell me in the description, would you bet the over on 7 wolves or more, or 7 wolves or less on for Belladama and her Lichen Curse? I'm going to see how many new wolves I can bring up in this tournament. Yeah, that being said, I'm super excited. I know it's going to be a fun time. I know if on the local Discord, all the people going, there's been a lot of chatter about it. There's a lot of people meeting up. We get to see all the other crews from all over Texas. So this is going to be a really fun weekend. If you ever get the chance to go to Austin and play in the games, there's the Weird Knobs are out there. They're a really great crew, and just holler at them on Discord or Facebook if you're looking for local games in that area. That being said, let's get into the list, and then let's get into the tournament and see how I do. All right, guys. So here's the display board and the finished army. It was a pretty big grind to get through this, especially I changed a few things up a little bit halfway through. But did some conversion, did some painting. I went into a lot more detail over the tactics of the list, how I used it in some previous videos. The written list will be in the description. But this was the final product right here. It was super fun to do and paint. I really like playing Soulblight. So it was a sort of a passion project to do, and I know there's a lot of complaints about the zombie mega and how he doesn't synergize and there's better point spin elsewhere, but I kind of like the look of him with this list. So this is what I was bringing, and was hoping to get some painting points, or however they're doing that in Austin. So hopefully that'll happen. One last shot of the display board. It has sort of these little LED lights that I put in, so I can sort of light it up. You can't really see it when the lights are on, but this is what it looks like when it's. All right, before we go any further, a lot of my videos I shoot beforehand, like a portion of it, and then a portion of it I would shoot day of during the tournament, and a portion I shoot after I come back. So it's really 3 different perspectives you get as we're shooting these videos or as I'm doing these live battle reports. And we had some technical issues on day 1. The ballroom had this very odd lighting. It was almost an orange or red glow, and I tried to adjust my camera for it to pick up the right lighting. I was not able to actually view that footage like in entirety until the end of the day when I got back to the hotel room. Kind of realized that, yeah, it was really, really bad. And I think the footage is pretty horrible. It's pretty trash to look at. And I have went back and forth for about a week now over even posting this video and putting things in. I've thought about just doing my normal one, like, hey, we're just going to do it. I've talked about, I just go over that, what happened in each battle but I don't really have anything to show you. It'd just be me talking for 30 minutes about a game I played. So I finally decided that I would put the footage in and do this like normal. But I just want to like everybody to know day one footage looks very bad, and please don't kill me in the comments because I apologize. But so I will have timestamps in here that allow you to skip through those, and you can just hear the summary at the end if that's more interesting to you. So like I said, I did spend the time to do it. It just didn't come out very good, and I can't really go back and reshoot that footage. So use the timestamps if it's not to your liking, and once again, do apologize for that quality. I'm here with Brian in Austin, playing at Austin Weird Knob first day. We're playing Veins. He is the beautiful Austin Weird Knob Traveling Gargants army, which we've seen at a lot of GTs. I've deployed like this. I got 20 zombies in the grave. The list will be online, so you can check that out. Who's got first turn? I've got first turn. All right, here we go. Moving into Soulblight turn 1. All right, so I wrapped up my turn, very short and quick, moved everybody up. I got a Metamorphosis off here. My battle tactic was to run these 3 units like normal. So I turned the Vampire into a monster so I could get the extra point for it. Mystic Shield on the Giant. She got Pinions and Lichen Curse, Under a Killing Moon on Belladama right here, and basically just moved everybody up. Set screens, brought out Kin of the Wolves. Zombies are still in the grave, and we're going into Giants or Suns turn 1.
That's it for me.
Brian finished up his turn. Basically, he took Ferocious Advance with these 3 units, and he got his extra point for that. So we're tied 3-3. He did roll up with his Gatebreaker here. He got an extra base for Wobbly Model. He threw, but he missed with the rock. We're going to go into a roll off. First off, you go ahead and roll and see where the objective is going to land. So I gave Brian the turn. The objective landed center, and he's got lots of bodies over there. I'm out of position, I think, to hit him hard enough to make it matter. So I gave him the turn. We'll see if that's the right play as we go on. All right, so Brian had his turn. He charged in with pretty much his entire army, and well, he didn't change it with everybody. He moved everybody up. The little Giants took out the wolves and put a bunch of wounds over here. His battle tactic was to take out the zombies, and he just rolled super low, and that's where we're sitting. He scored 2 for the turn, and now we're moving into Soulblight turn 2. Objective still in the middle, and before the end of the turn, I want to roll to see if any of my units come back. I didn't kill anything, so I need a 5. Nope, nothing comes back for me. Moving into my turn. All right, pretty subpar turn for me. Really, when I was stacked up with it, I was like, I sort of locked myself in, and I didn't want to commit too many forces to take on like different groups of giants. I did pick to take out his Mega with the Ethereal Amulet. Yeah, I know. I got 23 wounds on him with the my Mega and the Vengorian Lord, and I didn't take the center objective. I pulled everybody else back. He's killed. Basically, the only thing left on the table are my 5 wolves. Belladama, these guys. I will roll a 5 up to see if anything comes back. Nothing comes back. And then you can go ahead and roll to see before we do initiative where the points come out for your side and my side. So we're going to roll that, set it all up, and then we'll roll for the priority. But it scored no points that turn. All right, so the points came out. I got lucky with that one over here. His went over there. He did win the roll-off, so I'm in a pretty bad spot. We'll see if I can live through this round. See what happens. See if we can get some points. All right, going into Gargant's turn 3. All right, Brian's turn. He piled everything in over here.
he took Monstrous Takeover. He kicked the objective so he can hold on to it there. He moved over here. I redeployed. He failed his. It was an 8-inch charge. He rolled a 7. He failed that. And the man eaters, the man crushers came in and wiped out the grave guard. I did a couple wounds to them. I put most of my attacks into them. I killed one and did 4 wounds to the other. His Gatebreaker's on 30 wounds, mine's on 32, and that's where we're sitting going into my turn. I didn't kill a unit. You do have Battle Shock here. Are you going to CP it, or are you going to?
Yeah, I'm just going to save it.
All right, so he auto saves them because they would have been -2, -1, and then on a 5-up, a unit comes in for me, does not. And now we're going into my turn 3. And you scored 1, 2, 3, and let me count this one up real quick. So he took, he got his objective, which counts for 2. He took the points, which count for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he ended up with 8 total points for that round.
8 total. So sorry, should we?
Well, the turn didn't go as like I would like. It was all right. He did take out my Gatecrasher. I took the battle tactics to take this point. It was pretty good odds, but he was able to pile in with his guy at the end. I did wipe out the unit. His mega's gone. So really, it was very close. I killed a monster, so they gave me 1, and I did take the back objective over there with my guys. So now we're going into turn 4 roll-off. Oh wait, but I did kill a monster, so let's see if I bring someone out. I did not bring someone out. Have not brought a unit back this whole game. That's horrible. I needed those guys. I need the grave guard. Roll-off for turn. 6 to 1, so he's going to get choice.
Yeah, I think I'll take it.
He's going to take it, so we're coming back at the end of Sun's turn 4. All right, so his battle tactic was to kill my monster. Did not. These guys over here did take out my 20 zombies, so he took the point back. He owns all 3 points, so he gets 9 for that. Actually, no, because it's round 4, so 3 times 4, he gets 12. So we're going to add up his points, go into my turn 4 very quickly, and then because we're really low on time. But he did not get his tactic. My Vengorian Lord all-out finest hour and all-out defense sort of tanked it. All right, so we wrapped up here with Brian. Major loss for me. He ended up with like 43 points, 46 points, and then I got like 14 off of that. So not the greatest game.
It was closer than the points said.
Oh yeah, I think it was too. It was a little bit closer. Baines does that. It gets points out of hand a little bit, but still a fun game. And I mean, my zombie giant did what he's supposed to for 2 turns. I'm happy with that. And you know, everything else just comes down to playing. So it was fun, good. Really, we just sort of talked it out the last turn to figure out our points, and we're cleaning up now.
There you have my game 1 against Brian and his Sons of Behemoth. Fun game. Veins it's one of those missions that it can be, you know, really dependent on the drops, and I think the drops were actually fine. You couldn't ask for better drops. I mean, on my end, they went to the sides that I needed them to go to, so that was in my favor. Probably the one thing a lot of people's questioning is in turn 2, what sort of happened with me trying to go take out his mega with the ethereal amulet. Well, I didn't really want to do that. The original plan was to let him charge in and then let my grave guard go in and munch something. However, in his turn 2, he did not kill all the zombies, which was a very big surprise to me. But in the good end, it denied him his battle tactic. In the bad end, it sort of blocked me from charging in with my grave guard. If you go back and look at turn 2 where I was set up, I was fully prepared to rush in with my grave guard and just, you know, go handle those. I could not. I spent a good amount of time measuring to get trying to find a way to get the grave guard in a position to go charge there. And that's what I would have took for my battle tactic, was to destroy a battle line unit and go against those guys. I couldn't make it happen. So my other 2 options was to bring my Gargan in and try to do it and go around my line of zombies. But the problem is with that, it would have exposed him to both of his megas and just left him sort of out in the open. I also could have just sat back and did something else and said, hey, I'm not going to do anything and hope to win the roll off. But I was saying, hey, I need to be aggressive. Let me go try. Let me go try to do something. So I took on his Gatecrasher with the Ethereal Amulet. I know, not the smartest thing in the world. But throughout this tournament, I did find a few times that there'd be a game or a turn where I was like, hey, I could do 5 different battle tactics, like with ease or with certainty. And then I found that there was many turns and maybe even a couple games where I was stuck in positions where I'm like, I don't have a battle tactic that I can do with like a 75% certainty. There was, you would just find yourself in spots where there's like, hey, I don't have an auto make. I don't have something that I can just run over here or sit on this objective. I was always in a position where I was sort of short on tactics. And I think that hurt me in several games as well. But playing against Brian, it was a fun game. The score, was 40-something to 14. Not the greatest outcome I would have hoped for, but, it's fine. We saw our first megas list, and we're going to move on to turn 2. Hopefully get some, a good matchup, and would be able to sort of go 1-1 after 2. So that game's coming up right now.
Game 2 with Brian from the Sons of Slambo, San Antonio Club. He has a super beautiful painting. I know the lighting is horrible, guys, but this army is very, very nicely painted. The list will be in the description. We're playing Apex Predators. It's kind of deployed like this. I got 2 units in the Graveguard and zombies, and he's going to take the first turn. So let's see what Archaon's going to do. All right, so he took the turn and he moved these guys up. Got a lot of buffs up. Everything's Archaon's +2 to hit, or +2 wound, or +2 to save, re-rolling wounds.
You got it.
There's all sorts of stuff. Everybody's buffed. He took this point with a Carcadrak. He took this point with Archaon and made a small charge to hit my zombies, wiped them out, and then you have the Demon Prince over there. Took them. The wolves are technically in combat, but I'm probably going to move them out. Could have redeployed, but I was like, I don't think the CP was worth it, because if I rolled a 1, he would still get it anyway. I would need like a 3 or a 4 to get out of there. So, all right, so this is going into Soulblight turn 1. Let's see if I can get on the point. All right, so finished up my turn. My tactical objective was to take out this his Untamed Beasts, and I did that with the Mega, so I got 3 points for that. I only put 2 wounds on the Carcadrak with a Blood Knight charge, and then he killed 2 Blood Knights in return. I did some shenanigans with piling in with Belladonna and the Wolves. The Wolves didn't do anything, but the one little wolf that I did from Lycan Curse actually tanked all the attacks and then ended up killing 1 back, or 2 back. He did better than everything. Graveguard popped out of here. Magic, really, the only thing I got off was Under a Killing Moon and Lycan Curse. Everything else was stopped or too low. So I only scored 3. It's 3-5 right now, and we're going into the roll-off. I've kind of set up for a double turn because I don't know, and that was sort of where I was at. So here we go. 5-4.
I got a 4.
All right, I'm going to take the turn because I got to get on these points and try to stop him from scoring some. All right, so for my turn, I brought these zombies out here. Magic phase was pretty much, I got Mystic Shield off, I got Under a Killing Moon off, and I did get Spirit Gale double cast, and just really, I didn't really roll to beat anybody's bravery. Was able to kill the Iron Golems, I made an 11-inch charge with the Graveguard, and then did get the Chaos Sorcerer in it, but didn't kill her. The War Shrine piled in, activated twice, and killed the Graveguard. The Graveguard we did roll enough to bring them out. They come back over there. Between all attacks and mortal wounds, the Demon Prince has got 4 wounds on him. So he's wrapped up with the dogs right now. I was able to take Conquer as my tactical objective. and the giant ended up getting it. I wanted the Vingorian Lord to get it, but just I couldn't hit him. He's -1 to hit, so the giant ended up taking that point right there, and the Blood Knights just stayed put. Archaon is still in the center right there. We just moved him because I didn't want to hit him. And we're going into Slave's turn 2. Yep. And I scored 3 total. All right, so Brian's turn. He took Bring It Down on the Mega, and he got some buffs up. He got Demonic Power was the main one he got on Archaon, and he did get. I tried to roar. I failed the roar, so he got the 2 attacks. He ended up putting 20. I've got 31 wounds on the giant, and he's still alive, so he didn't bring him down because I did Finest Houring, and he had a Mystic Shield. I did a couple wounds here. He brought in Marauders from his back edge, and they went in the Grave Guard, but I was able to take them out. There was some slat fighting going over here with those, and then that's kind of it. He scored 3, so it's still a tight game. We're going to roll to see who goes, and well, let's talk this out real quick. So I got a 5, and I'm gonna take the turn because I got to get out of here and do some stuff. If not, those 3 units will probably die. So here we go. All right, so finishing up my turn, I wanted to roll off, and I went Slay the Warlord because I was out of position to do anything else other than Bring It Down. We got Archaon down to 5 wounds with pretty much everything you see right there, and we pretty much tanked his attacks back. We were able to roar, so he didn't get 2 activations to kill anything. So Archaon didn't even kill a single model, but we did about 10 wounds to him. Going into his turn, and we're almost out of time, so we will see what all this looks like.
So I know this sort of cuts off abruptly. The rest of it was really us just sort of at time and talking things out. During his turn, Archaon did kill the Mega and the Vingorian Lord. He killed a couple other things during his turn. And for the rest of it, we just sort of rolled priority and talked about battle tactics, how to do things. There was a sliver of a hope that I could tie it up. The final score was like 18-14 in his favor. So we did do a few rolls to see if I could do a couple things. And at the end, he still had it. Apex with Archaon it's a hard matchup, especially his list was really tooled. It had some tools in there to do pretty well on Apex. Not saying mine couldn't. With the Mega and the Vingorian Lord, and with Bella, I do have enough tankiness to go sit on those points and do some things. But you just have to, when Archaon pulled up middle, it was either go away from him or throw everything at him. Retrospect, it might have been worth trying to throw everything at him first turn. Maybe get him low, maybe get lucky, and do what would have been able to take him out. But he was re-rolling saves, and I know just how tanky he is. And if the rolls went bad, the game wouldn't even have been as close as it was. So, I don't think that it was a right or a wrong decision not to try to avoid Archaon. That's what you kind of want to do. It just didn't really work out as well as I would have liked it to. But it was a good game. It was fun. Lycan curse count at this point is 1 wolf. That's it. So over under 7 is not looking good for 7. Win total at 3 is not looking good for that. 2 losses straight out the chute. But that's fine. It's a fun game so far. I hadn't played a game yet that I felt, oh, this is out of hand and not fun, or been tabled on like 2 turns, So all the games have went to time. They've been fun. And, a lot of times that's all you can ask for. It's just, hey, good close games where you're in it to the end and where you feel like you have a chance. And that makes showing up and playing worth it. So now we're moving into the final game of day 1, my 3rd game, and we'll see what's going on with that.
All right, guys. Well, I am playing Tectonic Interference, and I'm here with Lauren. Sorry about it's very horrible lighting in here. sorry guys, this is going to be the ugliest battle report I think I've ever shot. So we've set up, Lauren is playing Night Haunt, and she's got a few units out and several in reserve. And I actually outdropped her, so I'm going to take the turn so I can try to get some points and get into position. All right, so we're going into turn 1, Soulblight. All right, so completed my turn and basically just ran. I took Ferocious Advance. She did dispel the metamorphosis on the vampire, so I wasn't able to get that, the extra point, but we did get the regular tactical, and we took all 3 points and pretty much just scooted up. Now we're going into Night Haunt turn 1 and see what happens. All right, Lauren wrapped up her turn. She basically shuffled everybody around. The only person with range to do anything was the Black Coach. Didn't take the objective, I just had one more body on it. No spells went off because it was too far back to affect anything. Nobody came from the grave or from the netherworld or wherever it's called. So now we're going into a priority roll to see who goes and takes turn 2. 3 to 5, she'll get picked. And before sides determined, we actually got a roll to see who takes where the objective goes. So go ahead and roll that. So a 5, so it's going to switch to over here. So that's fortuitous. All right, so are you taking the turn?
Yes.
I think so. All right, going into Night Haunt turn 2. Just keep adjusting all the settings to try to get something that works and all this dust and sand. All right, Lauren wrapped up her turn. She took aggressive expansion for that point and this point. She took this point by several models, and she killed about 6 or 7 zombies. I swung back, did a couple wounds actually. Did like 1 wound over here. She only killed 3 zombies there. But she just had bad charge rolls, like across the board. I think the highest one was like a 7. It was just a bad bunch of charge rolls, and that sort of kept her out of doing what she wanted to do. And now we're going into Soulblight turn 2. All right, so my turn. Could have went a little bit better. Zombies, they slap fight over here. I got a couple spells off, but nothing really awesome. Clotted Deluge and Mystic Shield. Actually, she tanked all of the Lichen Curse on the Grimghast Reapers with their 6-up saves. It was crazy. I was hoping for 3 dogs, and then it turned into nothing. I sort of pulled back here just to get them out of combat, so I could have options for next turn, possibly. The Blood Knights moved over here with a hope for about a 7-inch charge. They failed it with the reroll, so nothing from those guys. Took Monstrous Takeover, brought my dogs out. So we're sitting here strong, and I ended up with a total of 4 points this turn. And we're going to go ahead and roll for where the objective goes, Lauren. So 1, 2, it goes down here. And then we're going to roll to see who has priority for this round. 5 to 4. So I think I'm going to take the priority. Well, actually, you know, that's interesting. I'm going to look at it and we'll figure it out going into turn 3. All right, wrapped up turn, and it was a long, lots of combat. I took the double. The primary went down here to this one, and it was just fighting from one end of the board to the next. It was a pretty rough turn for Lauren's. I was able to wipe the coach, unit of Banshees, the chain rasp. I took out a Harrow. I took out her Harbinger, or the and then I did a couple wounds over here. The return wasn't very much. It was a pretty rough turn for Night Haunt. So we're going into Night Haunt turn 3. All right, so Lauren's wrapping up her turn. This is another big combat turn. She basically pushed everything she had to kill the Blood Knights, but the Blood Knights just tanked and tanked and tanked, and I passed my battle shock. So they lived. Her tactical objective was Savage Spearhead. Yeah, Savage Spearhead, and she brought her 2 units out back here to automatically get it. And over here was a little bit of a mosh pit. And surprisingly, this is the one thing I want to point out. The Banshee is still alive. The Giant cannot kill the Banshee. She just tanks every single attack. So we're going to, first, I'm going to see if I bring a unit back. And I do. And then I go ahead and roll the point. All right, 5/6 that pops back here, and then we roll priority. All right, so we're going to talk about this because we're real close on time, so we'll see what's happening. All right, so we finished up and we picked up. Lauren was a great opponent. We just sort of talked out the last round and sort of factored in points. After that, I won the roll-off, and we just sort of said, hey, this is what's going to happen. I ended up taking, So I ended up taking Linebreaker and doing it, and then we sort of just talked out and got points, and now we're picking up and we're heading to the painting competition.
So there we wrapped up game number 3. Pulled out a win on that. Lauren is a newer player, but it was super fun to talk to her and just interact with her. She is here local in Texas. There's another small, her sort of friends in a group are popping up and they're starting to get into the game and go out to tournaments. So it was great to have some new people out playing. So got the win. Very happy about that. Also, right before this game, it was announced that I got invited to the painting competition. The way they do it here is a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a bit. And so we were sort of picking up to get ready to go for that. Like and curse. Still at only 2 dogs. Every time that I cast like and curse this game, she either made the ward saves or dispelled the spell. So it was always something. So no dogs this game as well. I'm failing on my secondary personal goal right now with only having it's only not even 2 dogs. It's just the 1 dog. So we're not doing too good in that end, but we are finished up day 1 and we're moving into game number 4, day 2 right now.
So I'm here with Max, and we're on day 2, and I'm playing against a Stormcast. We're playing Survival of the Fittest, and we have deployed here. I have castled up because he does have 2 units of Annihilators in reserve. He's got 2 units of Longstripe Raptors, and all the tricks involved with that. So I'm trying to screen a little bit as best I can. I left 1 unit of Graveguard in the grave, and I think I know the answer, but who's going first?
I'll go first.
Yeah. So we're going into Stormcast, turn 1. All right, Max took the first turn. He finished it up. He Ferocious advanced with these 3. Mystic Shield was the only spell he cast, didn't get it off. He shot, killed 20-man unit of zombies, killed 2 Blood Knights, and dropped in his first Annihilators here. Did a few mortal wounds. And he charged in, got into combat with the Giant. Giant kind of flubbed. He made some armor saves too, so sort of worked out there. He auto passed their morale check, and Giant has 11 wounds on it currently. So we're going into my turn. Oh, what the saving grace for me is the zombies did come back, and that allowed him to only score 3 points total for the round. So we're moving into Soulblight turn 1. All right, so Soulblight turn went pretty good. I was able to drop a rock on, casting-wise, we get Mystic Shield, Arcane Bolt. All of my Mortal Wound spells either were auto-dispelled or they were, I just didn't roll anything to do any damage. So I had to eventually drop the rock on the last Annihilator to free up my Giant from combat. I did that. He had about an 8-inch charge, and he ended up rolling. On a re-roll, I rolled a boxcar, I rolled a 10. So he gets in. Vengorian Lord rolled a 6 to get in. I took out those 2 units, finished him off with Battle Shock, and then I took 3 out of that bag. My objective was aggressive expansion to hold the 2 corners, and I did that. Brought out the wolves, sort of moved everybody up. Graveguard came out, so now we're going into a priority roll for turn 2, and we'll see what happens. And it's a 5-to-1. I'm going to take it.
Absolutely.
So we'll see if we can kill some of these raptors. All right, guys, so got the double turn and basically pushed everything up. Made all the charges I took. Broken ranks on the last unit of Vindictors right in the middle. The giant actually killed him. I took a ton of attacks to actually get him, and then so extra point for that. So I ended up with 8 points because I took all the points and killed stuff with all the predators. He's down to his heroes and 1 unit of annihilators. That was a bad roll for that double turn for him. That was a rough one. So we're sitting in the middle of the board, and we'll see who's dropping down to do some damage. So Max finished up his turn. He took Conquer to come out here with the Annihilators. They made the 10-inch charge. They wiped the unit of zombies, took the point. They killed a couple dogs. The dogs did a wound back. And he translocated his Incantor back there. So I don't know if I ever get to her again. That might save him for his grand strategy. So that's what's going on. We're going into a roll-off and you scored 1 for holding a point, and then so you got 3 on that turn, and we're going to the roll-off. 6, and we'll see what he wants to do. All right, so he took his turn, and we spent a lot of time talking out for the last couple of turns how the best way to maximize the battle tactics for every turn. And it came to say, okay, all you got to do is kill 2 wolves, and you'll get broken ranks, and then we see 1 wolf with a wound on it. But he will next turn automatically get his Savage Spearhead because he's there. So that's sort of where we're at. We're going into Soulblight. My turn. I got to figure out what battle tactic that I can do or want to do, and we'll take it from there.
Let me take the guy out of the way, though.
All right. So before you remove this, he moved his Annihilators up. I took Slay, and I was able to drop the rock and kill his Warlord with the Giant. And everybody sort of charged his Annihilators because he did a redeploy and he was going to take the objective. And I was debating on not even messing with him, but because of that, I had to charge in. Earlier in the game, it's kind of funny, I didn't heal my vampire from killing a unit, and I said, don't worry about it, I forgot. Well, everything that he exploded, I tanked 4 6s in a row to keep that vampire alive, and then the vampire ended up eating the Annihilators up. So with that, we kind of called it a game. He has moved back here, and we're just sort of going to talk about the last 2 turns about how many battle tactics we can do and see what needs to go down. But with that, going on to the next game, and it's a really good game, Max.
Absolutely, I had a good time.
I think it was fun rolls. Yeah, well, for me, in a lot.
So that was my game number 4 against Max. Never met Max before. Super nice guy. We actually have a mutual friend in Mr. Ratley here on Roll to Wound. You've seen him in some of the battle reports. They've played several times in the north of Houston. I've never met Max, but he was very fun to play against. As far as his list, I was not super excited to play a shooting list with all those Raptors, especially with Soulblight. I'm never excited to play a shooting army. However, really it just came down to a few key roles early. One of them is me killing his Annihilators and getting my Giant free. The next one is getting that double turn into 2. By the end of my turn 2, probably 50-75% of his army was off the board. And when you have those, it's really hard to come back from, especially that early in the game when he'd only killed 1 unit of zombies for me. So we really spent the next couple rounds just talking about, we took some time to talk about the next couple rounds. How can you maximize your battle tactics? How can you maximize your score? What can you do to be the most successful for the rest of the game? And honestly, we just sort of turned it into a fun thing of rolling dice. And, a lot of times in these tournament settings, you sort of forget the fun every once in a while. And it was like, we had some really wacky rolls there at the end with some armor saves that were clutch on like 1 remaining dire wolf, and just little odd things like that I think made it a little bit more fun for both of us. But yeah, he had some really really swingy rolls there in the mid part of the game that really sort of put him behind the 8 ball, because who knows if he'd have got that priority, what those Raptors would have been able to kill. If they would have shot, it would have changed the entire dynamic of the game for sure. Like and Curse. Still don't have I don't think I pulled out any wolves that game as well, so still down on wolves for my like and curse. But we have won 2 games. We're 2-2 at this point, and we're moving into the last game of the tournament. I still got hope. I can pull my 3 wins. I can, maybe get a couple lucky casts of like and curse and get those wolves out. So I still got hope going into the final game. So this is the part of the video where you see the live shots from the battle report. Well, I don't have any. And the reason why is, in a tournament setting, one of the very first things I do with my opponent is I sort of go over filming, all the gotcha moments, sort of all of my things. And when we're discussing filming, I ask if it's okay to make my battle reports, because we are in a tournament setting. Time is important. Some people don't want to be on camera because they have reasons, and I'm 100% in favor of saying, hey, if you don't want to be on camera, I'm not going to film you. I'm not going to take a picture of you. If you don't want me filming the game, I'm not going to do it. It does not hurt my feelings at all. I'm 100% cool with it, because what I'm doing is kind of out of the ordinary, and some people are like, hey, I didn't sign up for this. So I'm 100% perfectly fine with an opponent saying, hey, I don't really want to be on camera. And after talking to my opponent a little bit, it sounded like he wasn't too interested in me filming any of the report. I didn't press the matter. I just said, hey, I'm going to leave the camera on to the side. I didn't film anything for this. So that's how we sort of got to this point. Like I said, it's 100% choice of these people, and I'm always really happy when an opponent says that they're cool with filming. Some people really enjoy it, some people could care less, and some people don't want anything to do with it. And I totally respect anybody's feelings on those things like that. So what happened this game? Well, if you've seen the list, I'm playing a Techless Luminous list. Not my first pick for an army to play at 2-2 at game 5. Just the way his list worked, basically with teleports and running charges and all his movement, that he can be in your face turn 1. This deployment didn't do me any favors because I didn't have any room to really back up and set any kind of screens or shields. So I was really right there on the line. He decided to go first. He buffed all of his stuff up the best he could. I couldn't really deny any of his spells. I tried to deny a few things, but he's casting on 10, so even with Bella, a couple of his spells I wasn't able to deny. So bottom line, turn 1, I had his 2 units of wardens smashed into my screen of zombies. His sentinels had teleported up and took out my Vengorian Lord, because he took Slay the Warlord as his battle tactic turn 1. My turn, the giant sort of rolled up, whiffed a little bit. Bella sort of rolled out, and I was able to make some points. The score ended up being something like 20-something to 8. But the first turn, I was able to salvage some points. I did win the roll off into turn 2, and that's where I thought the game was going to change. The Graveguard came out. I was in position to charge in and take out his sentinels. They killed about half of them. By that point, I'd killed about half of his warden units. And so turn 2 wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as I needed it to be. I needed to kill most of, if not all of his sentinels and his 2 units of wardens with the giant. Just didn't happen. So went into his turn 3. He was able to take out the giant. And that just sort of left me with no Vengorian Lord, no giant. I think I had like 1 Blood Knight left. The Vampire Lord was dead. Pretty much the only thing on the board was Bella, some zombies, and about half the Graveguard, a little bit over half the Graveguard.
but of course he teleported his sentinels out of that combat, so now my grave guard's out of position. It's kind of where we sit by the end of turn 3. He won the turn roll off going in. By the end of turn 2, he won the roll off going into turn 3, and just with the sentinels being out there, he's like, I'm going to kill that, I'm going to kill that, and Tekla is going to kill this, and we kind of just wrapped it up from there. There was pretty much nothing I could do. His army was a really good counter for mine. It was a good mission for him, so that's kind of where we sat. I did get a couple dogs. I think I ended up getting 3 dogs out that whole game. So we didn't meet our minimum of wins, which was 3. We didn't meet our minimum of like and curse summoned wolves or created wolves, which is 7. But hey, it was still a good tournament. I'll go into a little bit more detail about the tournament as a whole right now. All right, guys. So we already talked about I didn't meet my minimum requirements for wins, which was 3. If I would have won 3 games, I figured with painting points that would have put me in the top 50 players. And if I make the over 51 or 52, the Masters points is really, it's better than a local win. Didn't do that. I think I ended up pulling like 30 total Masters points from the GT, and that was something that really hurt, because that was one of the reasons I went to the tournament. But hey, you go to play games and win games. I didn't win the games, so you can't be upset with that. Painting competition. So if you look at the points, the aggregated points, there was actually 2 points. There was the battle points, which I ended up in 70th place out of like 115, and then they adjusted for the painting scores, which pushed me up to 65. But there was people that jumped from painting scores like 40 and 50 points, like our places in this list. There was a little conjecture on how points and scoring was working. I know some people were in favor of it. Some people really hated the way they did it. I ended up doing 66 points, I think, painting points out of like 80, 85. So above average on my painting. I did get invited. There was like 10 or 15 people they invited to get like a closer judging that they got to take pictures of. It was on their Facebook account. So I was super excited for that. I thought I'd go a little bit more, but once they sort of really, I think, digging into how battle ready a lot of my zombies were, that they sort of took off points or didn't add points. But all my heroes were painted really nicely, conversion work. So I think those things just got me to those tables in general anyway. So I can't be mad about the painting points. Like I said, yeah, 65th place in points, so that really didn't give me a lot for the Masters. As far as the venue itself, really beautiful, lots of amenities. The Fairmont, if you've ever been there, is super expensive. Everything has a big price tag put on it, so it was not a cheap event to attend. Of course, you could have stayed down the street and walked in for your games every morning. That would have been totally fine. Games Workshop. This was a Games Workshop event. As far as their presentation, the store they had on site, the swag bags, the judges, the amenities, all of those things were top notch. Like, super impressed with how they did that. The judges were great. They were on the spot. You did notice a couple times in this videos there was actually pictures of the list that was allowed. You could turn in a list like the day before when you checked in. Basically the judges took a picture and put it on BCP, so the people that didn't submit it digitally, that's how I got their list. It was just the picture off of BCG that the judges put in. That was one complaint that a lot of people had, was that lists weren't due until like day of when you showed up. So some people were a little bit miffed that, hey, why didn't y'all cut it off a week before? Why didn't y'all do list reviews? So there's probably some of that going on. Some people were upset with mission selection. Some people were upset how scoring was done. I know there was a buy in there because one of the local Houston guys ended up, I think, around 2 or 3 buy. And at a GT, I don't think you should have a buy. And I think they did average points for him. So there were some things like that some people didn't care for. When you're sitting back like me in 65th place, it's like, what am I complaining about? So those are just a couple things. All in all, if they hosted another competition next month, I would go. I thought it was totally put together fine. I think they're going to get better with them. I think um, it was a large event, 150 people. So I think it's going to continue to grow. And I think that they're going to get better with the mission selection, how they do the scoring. They're going to sort of see what the U.S. meta and what we, especially here in Texas, like. And I think they're going to we're going to come to a happy medium for sure. Other than that, let's talk about meta real quick. So let's talk about how everything finished up. Justin Grimminger, which is a Harambe's hero, he took first, and these are not, I don't believe, adjusted for all the paint scores. Iron Jaws went in, and if you notice, Iron Jaws won a lot of games. They're kind of good right now. So he went in, won all his games. You can see that last game, got a lot of points. I think that was the other thing too. It seemed like the first and the last games, you could get a lot of points on those missions, and I don't know if it was set up that way on purpose or not, but I don't like the first game being Vanes because the points which they used for placings could get way out of hand for especially newer players. You put them way behind the 8-ball. Gavin made second place, which is, if y'all know Gavin, he is one of the better players playing Thunder Lizards. We have Illuminative. I believe this one is the 50 block of Sentinels, or there's 50 Sentinels in the list. So yay. Iron Jaws. Brian, beautiful list right here with the Underguts. It's a shooting Maul Tribes list. Lots of shooting. So Zachary Kennedy, another Harambe's hero, another really good player. Sons of Slambo with Ryan and Hunter. And Ryan has been doing really well with that Legion of the First Prince list. So if y'all are interested in that, look up that list. That is a really good one. Got more Iron Jaws. Caleb Hastings, a lot of y'all, if you're a Seraphon player, probably follow his channel, did get 13th. Chris Schilling, who I went up in round 5 with not the same list, a similar list at Houston, 14th place. Oh, I lied. 15th place is our first Soulblight. And so they got pushed down quite a bit. And I think you won't see other Soulblight until we get down into Marcus Miller, Kit Reich, and friend of the channel, Chris Creech, in the 20s. Lots of Soulblight there. And the Suns. So all in all, a couple of my takeaways, just in general, broad takeaways from meta and what we were looking like at this turn. Iron Jaws were just dominating. Seraphon are really good. And a lot of people took those two lists. A lot of Seraphon players, a lot of Iron Jaws players. There was a good amount of Lumineth here. But other than Benjamin, they tended to have some bad matchups, and it seemed like they lost. Because I think Lumineth a lot of times will lose to Megas. Lots of Megas, lots of Suns. So that was something else. The highest rated Suns was Chris, who, like I said, he went 4-0 and 1 at the Hammerfest GT in Houston. So that was the big takeaways, just broad strokes. That Seraphon are good. Like, Seraphon are good, and they're good against everyone. If you can build a Seraphon list that can do every mission in the book and can take on any army. So they're just solid. They're just a hard out. They're really good against demons as well. Iron Jaws, if you've got Iron Jaws, go play them for the next month. I got a feeling that something's going to change with them. If they go through the December FAQ and don't get really hit pretty hard, then go buy some Iron Jaws because they're really good. They're really strong right now. Didn't see you had daughters, a few daughters lists, not a ton. So that's interesting. And the rest is just sort of a mix as you go down. Several legions of the First Prince, and of course those players like Matt are good players, so they can use that tech to their advantage. And yeah, and then we go down to probably page 3 or something before you get to me. There it is. Boom. 70th. Nice even round number right there. All in all, fun tournament. Like I said, if you're starting a new army right now and you're wondering what to do, I would honestly say the safest bet, in my opinion, is to go with Seraphon. I don't think they're going to get hammered the way that Ironjaws are about to. And I think they're, I don't want to say sneaky good, but I think they're under the radar good. Like nothing just makes you go, oh, that should be totally nerfed. And that's so OP and broken. I just think that they have a lot of good synergies and a lot of good war scrolls. So that being said, there is my wrap up. Right now, I am going and starting my prep for the next tournament, which will be in February in Dallas, the next GT. So I'm starting my prep for that, and we'll see how far along in my building that I can get, my building and painting before that tournament, and we'll see what I'm bringing there. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. Once again, apologize for the bad video early on. I've consolidated and condensed this into one video, not my normal two-parters. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate y'all your support you do for this channel and listen to my crazy ramblings as I go along. As always, thanks for watching and y'all be good.